After 13 hours, here we are. This is what you're shooting for. But before we get to this point, we're going to show you a little bit of the backstory of how to get here. Because at this point, you're into beautiful, beautiful looking pork shoulder butts.
Look at that steam.
Okay, today's the day. These two bad boys are going to go in the smoker. I do two at a time. It's just as much work to get the smoker going for one as it is two. So why not do two and get the job done? I would try to buy these 2-for-1 sale at Kroger, but these I got for about 80% off, so it's not too bad. They were $13.57 and $14.05, and the weight it is always the same. It's between 7 and 8 pounds. So 7 and 8 pounds is basically what we do on a pork shoulder butt to keep with the recipe. But I mean, here we go. I'm gonna just I'm not doing a YouTube video. All I'm doing is a few quick clips. This should have probably, obviously with the rub you can experiment all you want and come up with something you really like. This happens to be a rub that I really like. I have some already prepared right here, but what I'm going to do is just show you the ingredients. I'll send a picture along with this video of the written amounts and recipes, but basically it's really easy. Brown sugar, minced onion, black pepper, garlic, salt, chili pepper, and paprika are my two favorite items in this rub. And the paprika, believe it or not, is the thing that I think it makes it a star. You mix it together and you apply it onto the meat with olive oil. You rub the meat with olive oil, and that's what we'll show you a little later on. Okay, it's not a long video. I just want to show you that when you buy these shoulders, if they're marbleized like this one, a little bit of fat strains running through it. That's awesome, but you don't need the amount of fat that usually comes on the bottom of the pork shoulder. And what I'm going to show you is that I do a little bit of trimming of this, even though the smokers tell us that we can smoke the pork shoulder fat down. That's still a lot of fat to render. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to trim them, and as soon as I'm done trimming them, get some of the excess fat off the pork shoulder, then we're going to put the rub on it and be ready to let it sit for a couple hours, and then we're putting it on the smoker for 2 hours. All right, I just realized I left a couple clips they were photos instead of videos, but you didn't get a chance to see me trim the meat. I'm not an expert at trimming it, but I got most of the excess fat off it because these pork shoulders are already marbleized really well. And you didn't see my favorite part, because my favorite part of the rub is putting the olive oil on the meat, just spreading it around just with your hands and getting it sticky so that then all the rub will stick to it. And this is what your final result will look like. If you notice, the one shoulder on the right is a little bit smaller than the one on the left. It's a little bit lighter after all the fat was removed, and it's I'm going to put that on the cooler side of the grill, and that's something you learn after you do it 1 or 2 times. But they are ready. They're going to sit up, and by the way, you do have some extra rub that's left over, and so basically there'll be another time during the process where you can put a little bit more rub on when you wrap it for the last. Well, this is going to seem childish, but when the pork is done smoking, they're going to smoke them for 2 hours without any cover. You need to wrap them, and since I didn't know how to make a 2-piece wrap, you can't buy a wrap. Reynolds wrap wide enough to cover these pork shoulders. Even the big one's not, even the real wide one's not wide enough, so you're gonna have to seam it. And I was showed this once, and so since I was showed once how to do this, I'm going to show you how to do it. I line 2 of them on top of each other, and I just take that front edge and fold it over, and then peel off the top peel off the top carefully, and then you've got that seal, the seal right here that won't leak. So I just wanted to show you that. Welcome to my laboratory. This is where the magic happens. And right now, we're going to turn this little goober onto 180. This is awesome. They don't call it a smoker for nothing. The higher temperatures, you don't get this, but the lower temperatures, you get this beautiful smoke filling your smoke room. And that's the smoke that you want infused on your meat. Well, I'm coughing a bit, but I've got some beautiful smoke. And now we've got these little bad boys on the smoker. And the smokehouse is infusing that smoke into the meat at 180 for about 2 hours. And then after that, we'll go to 225 for the evening. Well, it's just about midnight. Yours truly getting a little tired. But the smells down here are awesome. It's been smoking for about 2 hours. It's a little friendly checkup and see how we're doing. Oh, man. Yeah. And we're going to turn the temperature up to 225. I'm going to check the hopper to make sure, yeah, we're in good shape here. And then the next check will be in the morning around 6 o'clock. We should be at a temperature getting close to 160, 165. When we get 165, we'll wrap it in, we'll take the meat off, wrap it in tinfoil, and probably increase the temperature a little bit again to finish it out. Well, you got to be a little crazy or maybe in love with pork to do kind of what I'm doing right now. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. These little guys are looking pretty amazing. We gotta see what kind of temperature we got here. We need 165. And I think we're good on this little guy. And 166 right here, so. And 165, so. These guys are ready to wrap, and so that's what we'll do. I'll take them off and wrap and kind of show you what we're doing here. Well, I don't know if this will work too good. My old smoker is roaring away there, but all I do is take them off, drop them down, put just a little bit more stick of butter on top of the meat. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I put a little stick of butter on top of the meat down below, and I'm putting a little bit more rub on top, and then I wrap it. So they're wrapped, and they've got a little more seasoning on top of them and a stick of butter on top that's going to melt on top and give that outside bark even a little bit better flavor. And now that the hopper is moved down a little bit, I just push some of the pellets over to where the auger is. Turn the temperature to 225, 250 I should say. It was 225. And we're ready to go and let it. And we're ready to go and let it give about 3 more hours, and till it hits 205 on the temperature, and we are ready for delicious fun. Well, we're back, and the temperature on the littler one is right on the money. It's ready to pull off. I'll pull that one off and leave the big one a little bit longer. I'll let the little one rest. Well, 13 hours after we started, we're here, and this is the result. Meat's gonna set for a while, but we gotta have a little look-see. Oh my goodness, look at that beautiful bark on there. And it's gonna fall off the bone, but I wanted just to give it a little taste test. It tastes like you would be at something you'd be served at the marriage feast of the Lamb. It's so good. Thank you. Well, it all comes down to this beautiful results. And I got both of my pork shoulders rested for about an hour. And now the meat will just fall off the bones, and I'm going to pull it. I used to be really, I've got it in this gray bin here because it just makes it easy to hold two of these shoulders and do the pulling. But I used to be really aggressive on this and pull the pork like crazy. Always exposes the bone real quick, and it just all falls off like nobody's business. And but now I don't do that because it's nice to eat chunks of meat, especially with this bark on it. So I do pull it. I look for areas of fat that I can remove. If I do see fat, I try to get most of the fat out, and try to eliminate a lot of that. But you'll see how not only tender the meat is, but how easy it is to pull. And then it is ready to bag. It freezes tremendously. And as soon as I'm done pulling it, this will only take just a minute, because every time you manipulate it, it gets finer and finer. But as soon as I'm done pulling it, I'll put a little bit of barbecue sauce on it, and I always do that kind of lightly to not overdo. I let people put most of their own sauce on it when they put it on their sandwich. But this is it, and this is the hardest job. Well, this is the easiest job of all, and the hardest job is just the prep work. All that we started with gets us to this point, and that is beautiful pulled pork. And here's what we're going to do with the Sweet Baby Ray's. We're going to hit it with a little bit. Not much. I don't have a lot in this jar, but it's enough for what I want to do right here. I'm getting down to the end of this little jar. I just lightly do it with the barbecue sauce and mix it in a little bit, and let people put their own on a little later on. That's it. You've seen it. Now it's going to be bagged or boxed in small little boxes, and either frozen or eaten fresh. All right, you spent some time with me on my little journey, and I'm going to leave you with this. On a steak, it's called a char. On pork, it's called this bark. The old smokers call this bark, and this is the stuff that's got the the rub on it, of course. And I'm just going to tell you that if you eat it, like I'm trying right now, you will want to do this for sure. So good luck in your smoking, and thanks for watching.